You know, sometimes a person can live quietly in your mind, even when there's no word exchanged, no message sent, no meeting planned. That space they occupy isn't always about missing them or hoping for more contact. It's deeper, more subtle. It's about how our hearts and minds hold on to connections, feelings, and meanings that go beyond surface level conversations. When someone is always on your mind without communication, it means that they've touched a part of you that can't be easily forgotten. Maybe it's a feeling of comfort, hope, or even unresolved tension. Our minds are drawn to what matters to us, not just the people we see or hear from, but those who shape our inner world in some way. It also means you're holding space for something uncertain. Maybe you're waiting for clarity, for understanding, or for the courage to face what's really there. That silent presence in your thoughts can reflect the places in your heart that feel vulnerable, or the parts where you crave connection, acceptance, or healing. Sometimes it means you're learning to live with ambiguity, the not knowing, the in-between spaces where answers haven't arrived. It's uncomfortable, sure, but it's also where growth happens. Sitting with someone in your mind without contact invites you to explore your towelings, boundaries, and desires more honestly. It's important to recognize what it's not. That constant presence doesn't always mean love or longing in a romantic sense. It could be about attachment, habit, or even fear. Fear of letting go, fear of change, or fear of being alone. Being mindful of why someone occupies your thoughts is part of reclaiming your emotional clarity. Lastly, it means you're on a journey, one of self-discovery and emotional honesty. When you acknowledge the weight of these silent thoughts without judgment, you open the door to a deeper understanding of yourself and what you truly need. That space in your mind can become a place of compassion, insight, and eventually peace. When someone stays in your mind even without any communication, it's a sign that they have reached deep inside you in a way that goes beyond casual interaction or fleeting acquaintance. It's not just about memories or habits. It's about how they have affected your inner world, your feelings, your thoughts, and the parts of you that shape who you are. That kind of impact is rarely accidental or superficial. It speaks to a connection that has left an imprint, whether it's gentle, complicated, or somewhere in between. Think about the people who float through your mind without warning, the way they make you feel, the lessons they bring, or the questions they raise. Their presence is a reflection of significance. It's a reminder that relationships, even those that aren't active or ongoing, carry weight. They remind us of the parts of ourselves that were awakened or challenged in their presence. Sometimes it's comfort, sometimes it's longing, and sometimes it's unresolved feelings. But whatever it is, it's real and it matters. This kind of mental presence also signals that this person touched parts of your identity or emotional life that aren't easily forgotten. They may have seen sides of you that others haven't, or they might have been part of moments that shaped your story. When someone occupies your thoughts like that, it's because they're connected to experiences and feelings that are deeply personal and meaningful. It's important to realize that this is not about obsessing or fixating in an unhealthy way. It's more subtle and nuanced. It's a natural human tendency to hold on to connections that feel important to our sense of self. Sometimes the mind lingers on these people because they symbolize something larger, a hope, a dream, a part of ourselves we want to understand better. Their mental presence can also be a signal that there's unfinished business inside your heart. Maybe there were conversations left unsaid or emotions left unexpressed. Or perhaps they represent an ideal, a possibility, or even a wound that's still healing. Our minds keep returning to them because we're trying to make sense of these feelings, trying to find closure or understanding. When you feel someone in your thoughts without communication, it can also be a way your subconscious is inviting you to explore your inner landscape more deeply. It's an opportunity to pay attention to what this person symbolizes for you, not just who they are, but what they awaken inside you. Sometimes the real work isn't about the other person at all. It's about what their presence reveals about your own needs, fears, and hopes. This experience also reminds us of the power of emotional connection. Human beings are wired for relationships, and when someone leaves a mark on our hearts, that connection can linger in quiet, invisible ways. It's part of what makes us human, the ability to hold others in our minds and hearts, even when they're not physically present or actively communicating. So when someone is always on your mind without communication, it means they have touched something meaningful within you. They have become a part of your emotional story, a thread woven into the fabric of who you are. Recognizing this can be both comforting and challenging, but it also offers a doorway to deeper self-understanding and growth. By honoring this presence with compassion and curiosity, rather than judgment or confusion, you allow yourself to acknowledge the complexity of your feelings. You give space for healing, for insight, and for the possibility that these thoughts are guiding you toward a clearer understanding of your own heart. In the end, this mental presence is a reminder that we carry pieces of each other inside us, sometimes quietly, sometimes loudly, and that those pieces shape us in ways both visible and unseen. It's a testament to the profound ways people influence our lives long after words have faded. When someone is always in your mind without any communication, it often means you are holding space for something that hasn't yet found its shape or definition. There is a kind of uncertainty that lives in the silence between you, a place where questions linger, feelings remain unsettled, and clarity has yet to arrive. This space can feel heavy, confusing, and sometimes painful, but it's also a profound invitation to be present with the unknown. Holding space for uncertainty means allowing yourself to sit with the discomfort of not knowing. It means resisting the urge to fill the silence with assumptions, stories, or frantic attempts to force an answer. Instead, you create a gentle, patient room within your heart where ambiguity can breathe. This kind of emotional openness is not easy, but it is courageous. It requires you to trust that clarity will come in its own time, even if it feels distant right now. Waiting for emotional resolution in silence is one of the most vulnerable experiences we face. It's a moment when you acknowledge that some things cannot be rushed or controlled. You learn to accept that answers may not come immediately, or that they may come in ways you hadn't expected. This waiting is not passive resignation, but an active engagement with your feelings, a way of honoring your inner process without forcing it. In this space of uncertainty, your mind often revisits the same memories, conversations, or moments, trying to make sense of what happened or what could have been. These reflections are a natural part of trying to understand your emotions and the meaning of the connection you share with this person. It's your heart's way of seeking resolution, even when there are no words exchanged. While this kind of waiting can be uncomfortable, it can also be transformative. It offers you the chance to explore your own needs and boundaries with greater clarity. You begin to ask yourself, what do I truly want from this connection? What feels healthy or unhealthy about holding on to these thoughts? What am I hoping for, and what am I afraid of losing? These questions guide you toward a deeper understanding of yourself. Holding space for uncertainty also teaches patience, not just with the situation, but with yourself. You might find that your feelings shift from hope to doubt, from longing to acceptance, and back again. These fluctuations are part of the emotional landscape you're navigating. They remind you that healing and understanding are rarely linear. There is grace in allowing yourself to move through these waves without judgment. It's important to remember that this silence and lack of communication don't necessarily mean absence or rejection. Sometimes they mean that the other person is also processing their feelings, or that circumstances make connection difficult. While you wait, you hold on to your truth, respecting the complexity of emotions on both sides. This space you create is sacred. It's a container for your vulnerability and your growth. By holding uncertainty without forcing answers, you practice trust. Trust in yourself, in your emotional resilience, and the unfolding of life. This trust softens the edges of anxiety and fear, allowing peace to find its way into the quiet moments. Eventually, clarity may arrive as a quiet knowing, a conversation, or even a decision to move forward or let go. But until then, holding space for uncertainty is a gift you give yourself. It's a practice of compassion and acceptance that acknowledges the messy, beautiful, and sometimes painful reality of human connection. So when someone lingers in your mind without communication, it means you are inviting yourself to embrace uncertainty with courage and grace. It means you are learning to live with not knowing, while trusting that clarity will come when the time is right. And in that waiting, you are not alone. You are growing, healing, and deepening your relationship with yourself. When someone remains constantly in your thoughts without any direct communication, it often reveals something tender within you, a vulnerability that's quietly seeking connection or healing. It's a reminder that beneath the surface of everyday life, our hearts carry needs that sometimes go unspoken, unrecognized, or unmet. This mental presence is less about the other person and more about what they represent in your emotional landscape, a longing for closeness, understanding, or restoration. Vulnerability is often misunderstood as weakness, but in truth, it is the birthplace of courage and authenticity. When you find yourself thinking of someone without contact, it's because your heart is gently exposing a part of you that wants to be seen and held. That part may feel fragile or uncertain, but it is also profoundly alive and seeking comfort. It's a sign that you're human, longing for connection, yearning for belonging, and hoping for emotional safety. This craving for connection is a fundamental human need. We are wired to connect, to share our stories, and to be known. When that need isn't fully met, either because of distance, silence, or circumstances beyond our control, it creates a kind of emotional ache. The person who lingers in your mind becomes a symbol of what you desire, not just their presence, but the feeling of being truly understood and accepted. Sometimes this ongoing thought process is an invitation to examine what healing you need. Perhaps there are wounds from past hurts or losses that haven't fully healed, and your mind revisits this person as part of that process. This repeated mental presence is not random. It's your inner self signaling that there are feelings to be acknowledged and emotions to be processed. In this quiet, vulnerable space, you may notice a mixture of hope and fear. Hope that connection can be restored or deepened. Fear that it may never come, or that opening your heart will lead to pain. These conflicting emotions are part of the complexity of healing. They remind you that craving connection always comes with the risk of being hurt, but also with the potential for growth and renewal. Acknowledging this vulnerability takes courage. It means sitting with uncomfortable feelings without rushing to fix or avoid them. It means allowing yourself to feel the depth of your longing without judgment or shame. This kind of emotional honesty is essential because it opens the door to self-compassion. The understanding that your needs are valid and your feelings are real. It's also important to recognize that craving connection doesn't always require action toward the other person. Sometimes the healing you seek comes from within, from nurturing your own heart and finding ways to meet your emotional needs independently. This might look like reaching out to trusted friends, engaging in creative expression, or seeking support through counseling or self-reflection. The presence of someone in your mind without communication can also be a reminder that you deserve relationships where vulnerability is welcomed and honored. It encourages you to seek reciprocal connections where your feelings are met with care rather than silence or neglect. In recognizing what you crave, you clarify what kind of relationships nourish you and which ones may no longer serve your well-being. This process is deeply personal and unique to each individual. There is no right timeline or formula for how these feelings evolve. Sometimes the longing diminishes gradually, replaced by peace or new connections. Other times, it leads to important realizations about yourself and what you truly want. Ultimately, this ongoing presence in your thoughts reflects the beautiful complexity of the human heart. It reveals your capacity for deep feeling, your courage to remain open despite uncertainty, and your innate desire for connection and healing. By embracing this vulnerability with kindness, you create space for transformation, a path that leads not only to understanding others, but to discovering and loving yourself more fully. Life often unfolds in the spaces between certainty and doubt, between what we know and what remains unknown. When someone occupies your mind without any communication, you find yourself living in that delicate place of ambiguity, the in-between, where clarity hasn't yet arrived, where questions outnumber answers. This space can feel unsettling because human nature craves understanding and resolution. Yet, it is precisely in this in-between that emotional growth quietly takes root. Sitting with ambiguity means allowing yourself to be present with uncertainty without rushing to label or fix it. It invites you to feel what is true at the moment, even if that truth is discomfort or confusion. This kind of presence is an act of radical acceptance, accepting that not everything in life is neat, predictable, or immediately clear. It's a practice of patience and trust, both in yourself and in the unfolding of your story. The in-between is often where our emotions become more complex. You may find that your feelings fluctuate. Hope mingles with doubt, longing with hesitation, peace with restlessness. These contradictions aren't signs of weakness or confusion. They are a natural part of being human. Allowing yourself to hold these mixed emotions without judgment creates space for deeper self-awareness and healing. Emotional growth happens when we resist the urge to avoid or escape these uncomfortable feelings. Instead of seeking quick answers or certainty, you learn to lean into the unknown. This vulnerability opens the door to new perspectives and insights about yourself, your desires, and your capacity to cope with uncertainty. It's where resilience is born. Living in ambiguity also challenges some of our most deeply held fears: fear of rejection, fear of loss, fear of being alone. When you sit with the unknown, you confront these fears head on. This confrontation, while difficult, is transformative. It teaches you that you can tolerate discomfort, that you are stronger than your fears, and that peace doesn't always come from control, but from acceptance. This in-between space encourages you to slow down and listen deeply to your inner voice. It's an invitation to reflect on what this silent presence in your mind means to you beyond the surface. What is it teaching you about your needs, your boundaries, or your patterns? What parts of yourself are waiting to be seen, healed, or released? These questions guide you toward emotional maturity and wisdom. It's important to remember that sitting with ambiguity doesn't mean giving up hope or surrendering your agency. Instead, it's a balanced stance, holding hope gently while also accepting reality as it is right now. It allows you to move forward with grace rather than force, knowing that clarity may come slowly or in unexpected ways. In this space, you cultivate compassion for yourself and the situation. You recognize that growth is not linear and that healing doesn't happen overnight. You permit yourself to feel the full spectrum of your emotions without rushing toward resolution. This compassion softens the edges of pain and uncertainty, making them more bearable. The in extreme is also where creativity and transformation flourish. When rigid answers or expectations do not confine you, you open yourself to new possibilities. You might discover strength you didn't know you had, or new ways of relating to yourself and others. This liminal space becomes a fertile ground for personal evolution. Ultimately, sitting with ambiguity when someone is on your mind without communication is a profound journey inward. It asks you to trust the process of your emotional unfolding, to honor your feelings, and to embrace the mystery of life's uncertainties. By doing so, you develop resilience, patience, and a deeper sense of peace. Clarity. This space of not knowing is uncomfortable but sacred. It teaches us that some of life's most meaningful growth happens not when we have all the answers, but when we have to stay present with the questions. It invites us to be gentle with ourselves as we navigate the unknown and to find strength in the very act of waiting. When someone lingers in your thoughts without any communication, it's important to pause and reflect on why they occupy that space. Our minds are complex landscapes, and the feelings that draw us to someone can stem from different sources: love, attachment, or fear. Understanding where these thoughts come from is a vital step in gaining emotional clarity and making peace with your feelings. Love is often the first feeling we assume when someone is always on our mind. It's the warm, tender connection that fills us with hope and a sense of belonging. When love is genuine, it feels expansive and nurturing, encouraging growth and freedom. Love respects boundaries and invites mutual care. If your thoughts stem from love, they likely inspire you to be your best self and seek a connection that honors both your needs and the other person. However, it's essential to differentiate love from attachment. Attachment can feel similar to love, but it often arises from a place of neediness or dependency. It's rooted in the desire to hold on to someone or something to feel secure or whole. Attachment can create patterns of clinginess or fear of abandonment. When thoughts come from attachment, they may provoke anxiety, obsession, or restlessness because they depend on external validation or presence. Fear also plays a powerful role in why someone might dominate your mind. Fear of loss, rejection, or loneliness can keep a person alive in your thoughts long after contact has ceased. This fear can trap you in cycles of rumination or what ifs, pulling you away from the present moment and from your peace. Recognizing when fear drives your thinking is crucial because it reveals the parts of yourself that need healing and reassurance. Discerning these different sources isn't always easy. Emotions are rarely pure or simple. They often intertwine and overlap. One moment you might feel love and the next fear or attachment. This mixture is part of the human experience and doesn't mean your feelings are wrong or bad. It means you're navigating the complex terrain of your heart. To begin understanding your thoughts, try observing them without judgment. Notice how they feel in your body. Do they bring peace or do they stir anxiety? Are they gentle or overwhelming? Are they freeing you or are they holding you captive? This kind of mindful awareness helps you identify the nature of your feelings and gives you insight into your emotional needs. It can also help to reflect on your expectations. Are you hoping for a relationship that brings mutual respect and growth? Or are you clinging to a past that no longer serves you? Are your thoughts about connection and love? Or are they about fear of being alone? These questions can guide you toward clarity. Sometimes talking with a trusted friend or counselor or journaling can illuminate these feelings. External perspectives and honest self-expression can bring hidden emotions to light and provide the space for healing. Understanding whether your thoughts come from love, attachment, or fear empowers you to make choices that honor your well-being. If love is at the core, nurturing that feeling through healthy communication or self-care can be fulfilling. If attachment or fear dominates, recognizing this gives you the opportunity to work on healing those areas, perhaps through self-compassion, setting boundaries, or seeking support. This discernment is not about denying your feelings or rushing to fix them. It's about embracing emotional honesty and permitting yourself to feel full. It's about respecting your heart's complexity and choosing responses that foster your growth and peace. In the end, this process deepens your relationship with yourself. It helps you understand that you are more than your thoughts and feelings, that you have the strength to hold them with kindness and the wisdom to navigate them with courage. By discerning the roots of your thoughts, you step into a more conscious, empowered way of living. When someone is always on your mind without any communication, it can feel like you are caught in a loop of thoughts and emotions that seem to have no clear beginning or end. This experience is more than just a mental pattern. It is part of a deeper journey, a journey towards self-awareness and emotional honesty. It's a path that invites you to explore the layers of your own heart, to understand what you truly feel, and to confront truths that may have been hidden or overlooked. Self-awareness begins with paying attention, really paying attention, to what's happening inside you without rushing to judge or fix it. It's about noticing the thoughts that surface when this person comes to mind, the feelings that arise, and the stories you tell yourself about what those thoughts mean. This kind of attentive presence opens a window into your inner world and reveals patterns that might otherwise stay buried. Emotional honesty is closely linked to this awareness. It requires courage to acknowledge what you feel, especially when those feelings are uncomfortable or confusing. Perhaps you notice sadness mixed with hope or longing mixed with fear. You might recognize that you want a connection, but also feel uncertain about what that connection would mean. Being emotionally honest means sitting with these contradictions without pretending they aren't there. It means telling yourself the truth about your needs, your boundaries, and your hopes. This process is not always easy. It can bring up feelings of vulnerability and uncertainty. You may question your worth or wonder why you're still holding on when there is no communication. These moments of doubt are part of the journey. They challenge you to be gentle with yourself and to understand that growth often happens in discomfort. As you move through this journey, you begin to see your thoughts about this person are not just about them. They are about you. They are reflections of your desires, fears, and the parts of your heart that want to be seen and understood. This insight shifts your perspective from feeling powerless to feeling empowered. You realize that you are not a passive recipient of your emotions, but an active participant in your healing and growth. This journey also encourages you to set healthier emotional boundaries. With increased self-awareness, you become more attuned to when your thoughts and feelings serve you and when they might be holding you back. You learn to distinguish between healthy reflection and rumination that keeps you stuck. This discernment is a powerful step toward emotional freedom. Another important aspect of this journey is learning to cultivate self-compassion. As you uncover vulnerable feelings and confront difficult truths, it's essential to treat yourself with kindness. Self-compassion means recognizing that it's okay to struggle and that you deserve patience and care, just as you would offer to a dear friend. This gentle approach nurtures healing and builds resilience. Through this process, you may also discover new ways to nourish your emotional well-being. You may find solace in creative outlets, mindfulness practices, or meaningful conversations with trusted people. These practices support your growth and help you stay connected to yourself, even when external communication is absent. Ultimately, this journey towards self-awareness and emotional honesty leads to greater clarity and peace. It allows you to release what no longer serves you and to embrace what nurtures your soul. Whether that means letting go of the person who lingers in your mind or finding a new way to relate to those thoughts, the journey itself is transformative. In embracing this path, you reclaim your power to shape your emotional life. You move from confusion to clarity, from longing to understanding, and from silence to self-expression. This journey is deeply personal, unique to you, and filled with opportunities for growth. So when someone is always in your mind without communication, remember that you are not lost or stuck. You are on a meaningful journey toward knowing yourself more deeply and living with greater emotional honesty. This journey, with all its complexities, is a profound act of self-love and courage, one that guides you toward a more authentic and peaceful life. As you reflect on the quiet presence someone holds in your mind without words or contact, remember that this experience is a profound journey within yourself, a journey of vulnerability, patience, and self-discovery. It reveals the depths of your heart, your capacity for love, and your courage to sit with uncertainty and growth. Embrace this journey with kindness and honesty, knowing that every thought and feeling you hold brings you closer to greater clarity and peace. Thank you for allowing yourself to be present with these truths today. I wish you strength, wisdom, and calm as you continue to navigate your path forward. Good luck on this beautiful journey of self-awareness.